And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Playoffs are nearly locked up. Who's going to win the MVP? We're getting to all of that and more on today's episode. But Sean, before we get there, can you share with our listeners a quick word from our friends over at BetOnline?
Yeah, I'd love to. Likely our last show of 2024. And you know what I'm doing in 2025, Joe? I'm holding people accountable. You need to hit a bet for the brand soon, okay? You need to put together a nice little parlay for some playoff football action.
That's a stupid hat. That's a stupid hat.
No, it's a good hat. You're lashing out.
Why are you pointing at me? I'm not
because I'm tired of putting on for the brand and putting together some nice big meaty winners like I have been the last couple weeks.
Who are you talking to?
I'm looking.
Buddy went 50% in NFL picks, and you're over here talking.
Look, these are picks. That's true. That is correct. They asked me to really put my, articulate my bets and have a bunch of rationale behind them. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll go 50. I'll go 50%. Real life bets, I need you to send me some winners, please, because I'm dealing with a bunch of morons that are sending me bad BetOnline tickets that aren't hitting. But BetOnline is where you should be, harassing your friends to send you good winning bets. Get them to BetOnline now. Head to BetOnline today. Have them sign up and use the Believe promo code. It's a new year. You want to get in shape. You want to eat better. Do you really want to make sports a little more boring by not having a little juice on them? No. If you're going to be doing all this other stuff that sucks, at least keep the sports gambling in action to make a regular season NBA basketball and regular season hockey in the mix. Bet online. The game starts here.
It was chaotically long read, and also the tone was just do you need a wellness check-in?
Fantastic. I want a wellness check on your bets.
Check-in on
That's
you?
what I want. I want you to send me a winner.
I like to respond to text messages when you're doing the read, and then are you okay? All right. Well, I know some NFL fan bases are not okay because their teams are out of the playoffs. Colts are one of them. We're going to get to that a little bit. But it seems like we've got a very clear picture of who is getting into the NFL playoffs, getting an understanding of who's going to be in the seeding for the most part. I don't want to sit here and completely just purely speculate of, well, if this happens, then this team is going to be at the 2 seed and they're going to play this team. I want to talk about the nitty-gritty of this. On the AFC side, Sean, the Chargers have already locked down the 1 wildcard spot. The only other instance of circumstance is the Denver Broncos playing the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have secured the first overall seed, meaning they can bench Patrick Mahomes for 2 weeks. They can coast into the playoffs and enjoy themselves and not have to play any of their starters. It's pretty much assumed that they're not going to do this. Broncos win, they go in, they're the last seed. At the same time, though, if they lose and the Bengals or the Dolphins win their matchups this weekend, they end up stealing that spot. I feel like this is a no-brainer, stupid question to ask, but one that should be asked. Is there any shot that we think that the Broncos blow this?
Oh, yeah. There's some real legitimate possibilities they blow this, and I'll give a real reason and a weak reason. One is it's a rookie quarterback going up against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs this year are just being dickheads. They've won 11 one-score games. They don't really care about how good or bad that the other team is. They just like beating them, and that's what we've seen. So I think they would love to just stick a knife in the Broncos just because. And on the inverse of that, I wonder if someone's making a call to see if Cincinnati and the high-flying Joe Burrow offense can squeak in. I know Kansas City wouldn't want that to happen because the Bengals offense, at least over the last month, has been surging legit. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, everybody getting involved. Fantastic. I think they're maybe even a better playoff team than Denver would be. But I really think that the Chiefs do not let the Broncos get away with one. It doesn't seem like Andy Reid fashion. He's happy and jolly on the outside, but on the inside, I think he's a stone cold killer.
I don't think it's going to happen. If we were just to push out there, which of these 3 teams we actually would want in the playoffs, I obviously want the Bengals. I would love to see the Bengals with the way that they're finishing this year. They've got no defense. They don't have a lick of defense.
Who needs it?
Yeah. But Joe Burrow is playing at an MVP level, another MVP level performance in a non-playoff season.
Yep.
Doesn't have many of those, but it's relatively meaningless because, again, they're probably not going to end up in the playoffs because of this circumstance. But the way that he played against Denver on Saturday was unreal. The way that he was able to put them in this position where they can actually talk about a possibility is super compelling. I think that they could totally go out there and randomly knock somebody off. They could go on some chaos type run because that's what Joe Burrow does. But again, you're saying that, oh, of course it's a possibility. There's no shot that the Broncos bungle this thing away. Their defense is too good going up against Carson Wentz and a bunch of backups for the Chiefs. And Bo Nix continues to impress. That one ball that he had to Marvin Mims was nuts. He played a great game against the Bengals. Did not look like a guy who is a rookie. He looked like a 3-year starter in the NFL, putting his team in a position to almost win the game. It just so happened the Bengals were going after some of the weak players in that Broncos secondary. It's going to happen, but I'm a little bit bummed because I don't think they're going to put up much of a fight.
I'm surprised you don't want to see the Tyler Huntley-led Miami Dolphins in the playoffs.
Okay, I know I should have been more prepared in this. Is Tua done? Like he's not available?
Yeah, he was not available this week.
I know he's not available this week, but is he not?
I think up in the air. I think Dolphin fans are still holding out hope. I'm sorry I can't go on another Tua tracker this year for the Dolphins that should have just given up after the first one. If we're being honest, if we're being realistic, I can't believe that they still have a fighting shot. Maybe I should respect them a little more for staying in it, but
I love this headline. I don't mean to cut you off. Or not the headline. I always love the lead of these injury articles. The Miami Dolphins are not counting out quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
Means nothing.
Yeah, cool, man.
God,
that doesn't mean shit.
Just say you don't
in
have,
or out.
You,
in or out.
You don't have the inside track, but you need an article out. That's why you should lead this. Hey, my boss is making me write this. I don't know either. Good luck. Find someone that does. Dude, I'm telling you, I really do think that the Broncos could slip up, and because they still don't have a very dynamic offense. And you know what?
What are you talking about?
They don't.
They played a great game now against the Bengals.
Yeah,
the Bengals
come on,
and that Bengals secondary.
The Chiefs with Carson Wentz. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to say something that dastardly. I think they will put up a fight against Denver. I think that they will. He is just bad enough for it to be entertaining, just good enough for it to be entertaining in either way. So that will be maybe a more exciting clinching game than what we have cooking up in the NFC.
I tell you what, though, I would be genuinely upset if the Dolphins end up being the team that gets him, because the Dolphins,
I'd be livid. I'd be so livid. That's just a waste of 3 hours on Wild Card Weekend.
I wouldn't watch that game. I deliberately would not watch that game. NFC side, though, you alluded to the NFC's situation. There's less implication for the last wildcard spot because the Commander, or not last, there's no implications for the last wildcard spot. The Commanders and the Packers are locked in. The main talking point is for what happens with the NFC South. The Falcons' loss on Sunday Night Football put them in this compromising position that now the Bucs, if they beat the Saints, they lock in, they're going to the playoffs. Now, if they lose and the Falcons beat the Panthers, they're out. Falcons go to the playoffs. And we get to see Michael Penix play one more game.
Hey.
Penix. It's not disrespect. I'm a big Michael Penix fan.
There we go. Okay.
And I was very excited, albeit his ball security is not great.
Okay.
And he still can't push the ball to the sideline.
Oh,
they need to throw the ball over the middle of the field a little more.
I think your eyes are having trouble looking to a different sideline with the lefty quarterback, but that's fine. It's a right quarterback, right armed quarterback league. So
I'm just saying in general, that was his issue in college is he's got a cannon and he just didn't have the touch to the sideline. And he was awesome at ripping the ball up the middle of the field. And that's what they need to keep doing more is rip. That was what happened in the national championship game.
I got you. That's true.
Michigan said, all right, Batman, go ahead. Throw to the sideline. We dare you.
I think once he gets some chemistry things going with the offense, that's going to be good. Obviously, Kadarius Hodge is not Rome Odunze, and a couple times on Sunday night, it looked like he thought he was. That's Kadarius Hodge, pal. That's Seventh year wide receiver, floating special teamer for different teams. It is not first round overall draft pick. Rome Odunze, I thought that he did good. I was happy to see the at least the touchdown. People were, I guess, expecting a big rant and rave. People tagging me on Twitter all night from that game. I saw the rookie quarterback of the future go down and have a game-tying touchdown drive and throw it to Kyle Pitts for a touchdown. Like, that is as close to a win as you can get for a Falcons fan.
You can't not feel good about that.
And I said, you know what? Whatever happens after this, I'm satiated. I saw that the kid, he's my age, saw that he could do it.
Yeah, I think he's 25.
And then, and that's
he's also got his shit together more than you do. He's engaged.
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, that guy is just absolutely lapped me. I'm not even at the track yet. if he's doing a half marathon,
doesn't take a lot to lap.
Okay. But I hate that the NFC South is like the last shoe to drop for the NFC because they suck so bad. Now I'm rooting for the Saints openly. I have to root for the Saints to beat the stupid Buccaneers, and that's not going to happen. And optimally, you want to know how this shakes out traditionally, Joe? Before Michael Penix Jr. came down with his golden arm, it would be Bucs lose to the Saints. Falcons lose to the Panthers with 2 back-breaking picks from Kirk Cousins, and then they're still out, and the Bucs are still in, and it's just an awful representative from the NFC South again. This year, I think they could beat the Panthers. Crazy hot take. I think that the Falcons could beat the 4-win Panthers.
One, that ball that was delivered to Kyle Pitts, that's not a ball that Kirk Cousins would have.
No, are you kidding me?
Are thinking like, what the heck are you talking about? The velocity on that ball that was required to fit into that tight window, that's what you drafted Michael Penix for. And that's what you can look forward to in the next 2-3 years of the future of that team with all those weapons that he can work with. Kirk Cousins wasn't completing that pass. That's where the positivity comes from. I have to be honest, and this is not, I promise this is not me being a dick, because it's going to come off as such, and you're going to interpret it that way. Out of all of the possible meltdown scenarios, you were trying to say that the Broncos can melt down. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Bucs could totally crap their pants. And I mean, Darren Rizzi is Mr. I don't give an F. He's trying to coach for a job right now. There is a possibility he could be the next head coach of the Saints. It's certainly a possibility. He has done a commendable, unexpectedly good job with the Saints so far this year. So he's going to come out there against the Bucs team that's extremely inconsistent and plays really bad on defense, could randomly piece together a late comeback win or a close victory and a couple of picks from Baker Mayfield. It could happen.
What are you doing, man?
I'm just, this isn't me being a dick. I'm literally just trying to say.
The Spencer Rattler.
This is the take. I am not trying to antagonize you. I'm not.
You know what? I'm a little sensitive about this team now. I have. This team shocked the life back into me in the first 6 weeks in Atlanta. They killed me, put me 50 feet under the Earth's crust mid-season during the big skid. And now I've got a young quarterback digging me up and giving me the heart machine defibrillator, waking me back up again in week 18. It's really not good for my health, this team. It doesn't do good things for me. I shouldn't root for them, but I'm indebted at this point. So I hope it happens. I hope they somehow make it through. I really don't think that the Bucs had a collapse already also against the stupid Cowboys. So maybe it's not totally impossible. I don't think it. God, they wouldn't do it twice. Would they really do it twice? They couldn't do it twice. No, I would. If I was a betting man, I would lock in the Buccaneers to beat.
Well, you're
Saints.
A bad betting man, so I wouldn't trust your judgment.
Doing okay recently, withdrawing more than depositing, which is the ultimate goal.
Sean, the debate for who should win the NFL MVP has now become extremely controversial. A lot of people can't agree on this. There are two sides. Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, who led his team to an immaculate season. 3,700 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, only sacked 14 times this year, 531 rushing yards, and 12 rushing touchdowns. And the other side is Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, who I almost didn't even fully realize his stats this year were freaking nuts compared to last year when he won the MVP.
Yeah.
3,900 passing yards, 39 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 852 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. I got to be honest, I don't know which side I lean on because this is a really tough debate. Do you go with the guy who resurrected the Bills when the expectation was that they were going to be rebuilding this year, that they were going to be mediocre and maybe sneak their way into the playoff, that they're one of the best AFC teams and could go on to the Super Bowl this year? Or do you go with Lamar, who won the MVP last year and his stats improved and got twice as good as last year? Where do you stand?
This is a total mess looking at it because Allen has had such a great year in the through the air and on the ground, and it really has been the Josh Allen show in Buffalo. It's him and James Cook and Amari Cooper, and they are making do, and they are winning games, and they are winning them handedly. Whereas the Ravens, when they are on the top of their game, it is Derrick Henry and it's Lamar Jackson, and he has been phenomenal. They've dropped more games than Buffalo, but the wins that they've had may be more impressive. And this is where it becomes like a little bit of the college football argumentation comes into the NFL scene, where you start comparing wins, where you start comparing resumes top to bottom, and this team isn't that good anymore. When he beat them, this happened, yada, yada. How many above 500 teams did he beat at the end of the year? The discourse is maddening. There's still not enough discourse around Joe Burrow, who's got 4,600 yards and 42 pass touchdowns.
I'm sorry, for teams barely getting in the playoffs, you should not win NFL MVP. He could win Offensive Player of the Year, totally.
I'm just looking at it right now. It's nutty. Some of the and I saw some takes earlier in the season about banning 2 high safeties in the NFL, like just banning that defensive scheme. I do wish we had more 4,000-yard quarterbacks this season. We have a decent amount. Lamar is going to get there. Mahomes won't because he probably won't play. But then we're sitting with like 7 or 8. I like when we have about 8 to 12. I think I'm giving my nod to Allen, though. Doing this with Buffalo when the window was closed. It was certifiably closed on Buffalo this year. It was Kansas City's AFC. It was their conference. And he just absolutely did his thing. And he beat Kansas City this year. That means something to me. It really does. They beat him in the regular season. And they weren't dickheads like Philly were after they beat them in the regular season, flipping off the fans. They just said, back to business. We're Buffalo, and we're not taking it this year.
I've been thinking about this a lot today when I was putting this topic together. If Josh Allen didn't exist with these types of stats, with the victories that they have on the year, the way that they were able to beat the Chiefs and what you talked about, I would go with Lamar Jackson. It'd be a no-brainer. Lamar Jackson, his stats are astronomically good. They cooked. We all watched on Christmas the way that they cooked the Texans. I was so bored watching that game because it was over at halftime.
Yeah.
Because he was unstoppable as a runner and as a passer. Lamar Jackson is going on to become one of the most difficult to scheme against quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm really curious, and I hope that these two teams match up with one another in the playoffs and that we get an answer to this question of who is the better one, because they'll be going head-to-head. But the only reason, because their stats aren't like starkly different. They both have over 40 touchdowns. Allen's got 40 total, and Lamar Jackson has 43.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why I lean Josh Allen is that this huge step forward was boosted by Derrick Henry stepping in. And I'm not trying to take that away from him, but it does have to be acknowledged here of, hey, look at this otherworldly player who is stepping in next to him and is playing fantastically at 30 years old, which was unexpected. When he didn't have him, his stats were good. They weren't this good. So now that he's got somebody else to take the load off and also distract opposing defenses, it's freed him up. That's been great. That's huge for what they're about to do in the playoffs. But for MVP discussion, there was no thought out there that the Bills were going to finish the year as good as they're currently in position to finish. They beat the Chiefs, like you just talked about, because of his performance. He has gone on a streak of insane stats that he has put out there in some of these big games against playoff teams. So for them to have a completely reworked team where there's a little, not completely reworked, but a reworked team where there was a bit of a reset and uncertainty of, what do you even have the receivers to be good and competitive this year to raise the level of play? It has to go to Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson's got MVPs, man, and he's probably going to go on to win more. But Josh Allen just feels like the guy this year because of what he's done in certain situations.
The the stick in the spoke there is that the Ravens beat the Bills this year, and they beat them by 25. Like, that is just that. Looking back on this Ravens schedule, for every great win they had a stupid loss. Like they lost to the Raiders. That just can't happen. They lost to the Browns when the Browns were as bad as the Browns were this year. Can't happen. Like, that's what I think when they lost to the Browns late October is when I started leaning towards the Allen side of the aisle when it came to the MVP conversation. And you know what? They did a lot of other good things. You know, they beat the Chargers. They beat the Bengals twice. One of them was pretty fluky. They split with Pittsburgh. It is a harder division that the Ravens are playing in than the AFC East. It is. Oh, my God, but they don't have that Chiefs win. They just don't. I'm sorry. They don't have the Chiefs win. I'm looking back over it right now. A lot of good wins, not that one, though.
Also, we need to contextualize that win for the Ravens. It was at the end of September, but here's the more important part. Here's the stat line for both quarterbacks. Neither of them were like a truly significant factor. I don't remember the game in total detail of like how this game played out. So if anyone wants to freely correct me, go ahead. It happens every single time I do a show. But Josh Allen is 16 of 29 for 180 yards and no touchdowns. And Lamar Jackson's 13 of 18 for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was Derrick Henry who won the damn football game. 24 for 199 and 8.3 yards per carry and a score. Now, Lamar does have 3 total touchdowns in that game, but like, come on. We need to be a little I don't want to hear anyone go like, oh, they beat him by 25. And that's not what you were doing. But anyone in the comments who wants to pull that crap, let's just quickly remind ourselves, like, what, you know, it's not like neither guy was it an MVP level performance.
I took a bath in this game. I remember Justice Hill. I think I bet on the Bills, and the Bills couldn't stop Justice Hill, who had 6 catches for 78 and a touchdown. Unbelievable, unconscionable, awful game from Buffalo in that one. But I think I have to lean Josh Allen. And you know what? Romo made a decent point. I think he could have said it better. But Romo's point was, you know, Lamar Jackson's already got 2. All right. And if he
come on,
that's what he said. You should have delivered it better.
I know what you're talking about. I think dumbass take.
He noted that the public is going to lean to the person without one before they go back and triple dip with Lamar Jackson. That's at least a point to note with the conversation.
They've done it with Jokic a million times over, and he's going to win it again this year.
Yeah, I know, but
I think that I get what you're saying. I'm not going to completely discount it, but I think it's
a little different, though.
I think it's a dumbass individual take, man. I think it's a dumbass take.
I got you. I think he presented it poorly, but I do think that happens in the NFL, and it takes the voters a lot to give Aaron Rodgers a 4th, to give Peyton Manning his 3rd. It takes a lot to get those across, and they needed to have bonkers seasons. And in a close year like this, I think historically voters would go to the guy that doesn't have one before giving one back to Lamar.
So right now there is a debate, Sean, if Saquon Barkley, who is 101 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record, he's got 2,005 yards. There's a bit of a debate on should Saquon Barkley play this final game against the Giants. His former team, he'd get the opportunity to break the record against said team, which would be just the cherry on top of an amazing season for Saquon and an incredibly disappointing one for the New York Giants. We're going to get to them in a second. Do you think he should play? Do you think a half of football is enough for him to get 101 rushing yards?
No, I don't think it's going to be a half. I hope it's just a half. I hope he plays. That's my official I want him to play. I want him to go for the record, because records like this, they mean something to the fans. I hope, and I think fans resonate when a player at least makes it seem like it means something to them. Joe and I are under no delusions that there's people in the NFL that are in the NFL just for the paycheck, that don't love football like fans do. We understand that this is a job for probably a high majority of the NFL players, because it really is, because they're a week away from getting cut and looking for a job at Sales Corp. All right. So we get that aspect of it. But for an opportunity for the story of Saquon Barkley to have a full career resurrection in 1 year and do it against his old team and break a record that even Adrian Peterson couldn't break, Yes, go do it. Please, I want to see it happen. I know he can get 101 against that bum-ass team. I know he can. He should go for it. He should punish those losers. And everybody, I hope they fly Daniel Jones back to the sideline and have him give him a high five at the 50-yard line when he breaks the record. And they both just give double birds to the owner's box and maybe pull their pants down and moon him. But I think Saquon Barkley is above that. I think he is. I really hope that he does go for the record, even though oh my God. Please, do you think he should go for the record?
He should, but I don't think they're going to do it. I mean, Nick Sirianni is enough of an a-hole that he's willingly going to just do this to prove a point. But at the same time, you need Saquon. Saquon has been there's been many catalysts for success, but he's been one of the biggest driving forces for success this year. You gotta rest him, even if it's a half football, and you see if you can get close in the half football. The Giants, the way that they showed so much heart in a game that meant nothing, you think that they aren't going to try everything possible to take away the run game. Like, they're just going to load the box in one-on-one on the outside.
Here's what's interesting for me. Do you recall earlier this season when Barkley had an opportunity to go over 200 yards in a game, like for the first time in his career, and he had a chance to go and do it? And there was
against the Rams.
There was a mic'd up clip of Sirianni talking to him on the bench. Look at Sirianni, the players coach. Hey, do you want to go for it? Because if you want to go for it, I'm all for you. You know, he was being super pro player, super pro positive Saquon Barkley. And now we get to see if he still remains that pro player, pro Saquon guy when he can get an all-time rushing yards record. I think that we're going to see that all that was just a guise and a ruse from King Rue. What do you think? Circumstantially, things changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they do, especially for a running back at a position that is just generally injury prone, and also for a guy who has had injuries throughout his career because he's so explosive. It's easier for him to get banged up. So it just would be so stupid to lose him for the playoffs or lose him
like
for the
the
first round
gladiator.
game.
I want him to be a warrior and say his glory means something to me. That's what I want. Is it best for the game in the playoffs? Probably not. Would I rather see a healthy Saquon Barkley in the NFC Championship game? Yeah, probably. It'd be better theater. But I want this also. I'm gonna keep on pushing for it.
Glory meant way too much for the Giants in their last game. We have checked in on the Giants' run for the first overall pick every single week. And every single week I have said this, that there was going to be a spot where they were just going to blow this. They had it. They were in sole possession of the first overall pick. They just needed to lose to an Eagles team that's already in the playoffs and a Colts team that was still fighting for their playoff lives. They play the game of the century, 45-33 over the Colts. This franchise is such a fucking joke that they can't lose properly. You got Drew Lock after the game. No, the team and the fans deserve it. Apparently we did. Apparently we've done something so reprehensibly wrong as fans of the Giants that we deserve to watch another team pick first overall. And we're sitting at 4. And our future is just screwed. This happens every time that the Giants have been in a position since Eli to figure out who the next quarterback is, especially last year when they weren't feeling Daniel Jones and they said, all right, I guess we're going to see if we can figure this out one more time. They have won games that don't mean shit. Now it's the Patriots, the Titans, the Browns, and the Giants at 4. It is mind-numbing how insane that this is the result, that this is where we land. And knowing them, they're probably going to beat the Eagles. We talked about this last show. They're probably going to win a game against the Eagles that means nothing. This is the hell that I live in. This is the world that I live in. I sure do hope that if they don't end up getting their situation figured out, that next year, next draft, that when they see that they're going to be picking first overall, that they actually stay pat and they stay in that position and they don't screw it up further. Because maybe you get arch. Maybe you can get arch banning.
This game broke Pat McAfee. This game broke a lot of New York fans. Drew Lock, 309, 4 touchdowns. How are you not excited about that being your quarterback of the future? Like, maybe I'm investing in him. I mean, you saw Tyrone Tracy eclipse 1,000 yards on the season this game. Malik Neighbors eclipses his 1,000 yards on the year in the season this game. I don't know what you guys did wrong. You got 3 wins this year. You got a big 3rd win in week 17. What a bunch of jerk-offs. God,
The most
guys are awful.
meaningless thing. Okay. Here's what they need to do. This is not an admission that you were right about what I'm going to get to. The Giants at 4th overall are in a very desperate situation. Trading up to 1st overall, or they're not going to get to 2nd because the Titans, it would be assumed that they're going to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Maybe the Browns don't. But to trade up, they're going to have to mortgage their future. Mortgaging your future is not something that you should do right now. It's just not. You have a roster that can be competitive, and you need some sort of boost, just something. You can't delay this any further, and you also can't punt and remove all your future picks. It would be cheaper to trade for J.J. McCarthy. You need to pick up the freaking phone, and you need to offer them whatever they ask for J.J. McCarthy. And yes, I am admitting that we're at the spot where it seems like that Minnesota is going to roll with Sam Darnold. And if that is the case, it doesn't make any sense if they re-sign him and it's a multi-year deal. It doesn't make sense for them. If they go to the Super Bowl, they shouldn't freaking move on from him.
Yeah.
Go get J.J. McCarthy. You liked J.J. McCarthy last pre-draft process. If he's possibly available, see what you can do.
I got no. You guys want Cousins? He's going to be available.
Eat shit.
Hey, I'm trying to help you fix your problem here.
Who
do you want? Let's start shopping.
We can't even go get Sam Darnold. That's the craziest part. We can't even go get him.
Let's start shopping. Who's the current backup on the Panthers? Because apparently that's the next future legend in the NFL. Oh, you want Dalton? Bring in Dalton.
No. Hold on for a second. I'm not going shot. That's not the concept that I'm pitching here.
Well, who's starting for you?
Go and get J.J. McCarthy. That's it. It's going to get J.J. McCarthy, or pray to Jesus that Cam Ward is still on the board at 4.
Why would he be? You don't want to.
And I don't even know if Jalen Milroe declares. I would take Jalen Milroe at 4. And I know you don't like Jalen Milroe, but go get J.J. McCarthy. That's it. Done. That's it.
You wouldn't want a defensive back or offensive lineman or anything.
None of the linemen are worth taking 4th overall. I'm not taking Teteroa McMillan at 4th overall. Mason Graham would be nice, but we've got too many defensive tackles. Abdul Carter would be nice, but we've got too many. We've already invested with Brian Burns. And
Kayvon's got a contract coming up soon also. I don't know if you guys re-sign him.
Just trade the pick. Trade the 4th overall pick for J.J. McCarthy. I'm serious. Just get out. Just get out. Get out. Get out. This is bad juju already. Just get the hell out.
A year in the NFL with an injury, is J.J. McCarthy, if he was in this draft class right now, is he the 3rd best quarterback behind Shedeur and Cam Ward?
Yes.
Okay. Is he better than
I said that last year? If he stayed back and went back to school, which good for him for not doing that because it might have tanked his stock, but another year of developing and learning, which is kind of what he did. He didn't play, but he got to sit and just learn and chill. And
he was on his iPad for a year.
Yeah,
he was an iPad kid.
Yeah, he was dicking around for a year. But it's learning, and then you already have the biggest hurdle is there are no rookie quarterbacks. There's very few that can immediately hit the ground running. It is a multi-year process. So, like, instead of playing, just hoping Harson back or Quinn Ewers is the answer, and just taking one of those.
This is my favorite part of the show, where we get out of the clip lead-in to the real. Here are the feelings of Joe DeLeone, where it's all sinking in. Because yesterday, I knew you were working and you were in the weeds.
Sean,
yeah,
I have to cut you off because this is what happened when we took Daniel Jones. I knew it was going to work. I knew that the guy was going to end up a New York Giant, and I thought that, like, hey, maybe they trade back in or something. Nope, they took him 6th overall. They took him way too high. No, Josh Allen, the edge rusher from Kentucky, would have been cool. No. You're going to take Daniel Jones. I can already feel it. I can literally feel it. And you know what? The post-draft the presser with Quinn Ewers holding up the Giants jersey.
Oh yeah,
is they're going to try and spin it like he's their Bo Nix, and then I'm going to have a throw.
God,
am I allowed to pick a new team? Can I pick a new team?
You know what? Here's the thing.
I can't do this. This is 5 more years
There's
of this
rumblings
shit.
of you becoming a Knicks fan again and jumping back on that bandwagon. So
That's a bit. That's a
you
bit.
might. I don't know. You bought merch, brother. You bought Clips merch. I don't know if you're allowed to abandon your football team like this. You're not. I think you need to get real, like 20 to 30 years in of complete drought.
I'm obviously being a little bit hyperbolic. I'm still going to root for this stupid team. It makes it a little bit easier when your team is this awful that you can just kind of watch the rest of the games and not.
Yeah.
Like I used to get.
It's not a burden.
When the Giants are in playoff contention, I used to get genuinely upset when they would lose and they would play poorly and stuff like that. I have felt great. I have been. It's just like when Notre Dame would lose in the past. It's the same deal. When they were out of the playoff conversation, it's like, oh, okay, cool. If they lose to the Georgia this weekend, I'm going to be really upset. And if they lose poorly, I'm going to be really, really upset. And they get smoked. I'm going to be extremely upset.
Big Wednesday night for you. Why would they give them the final night game? That's just setting you up to not sleep.
Well, I'm going to be working until late in the morning anyways. Late at it. I don't know, man. I can see Quinn Ewers. I can see it. And there's baseless rumors that if Quinn Ewers doesn't declare that he's going to Notre Dame, those are
I saw that.
Unsubstantiated.
I saw the
extremely unsubstantiated.
I mean, I don't know. Could be exciting. I know you would end up getting excited at some point. You would have to. Come on.
If I have to pretend that I like Quinn Ewers, I don't know if my mental well-being can.
You're selling the kid short.
All right, that's going to be it for us. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. Rate, review, subscribe. Leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think of the show and what we talked about today. Talk to you folks later. For the rest of your week.